that's what you assume. The story's over now, I must conclude. I am conflicted, watching where I step still, hanging in the balance, not the life I want to live. I want to take it all, standing tall, fear outweighed the person you are. Oh, break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
My heart rages around like an ocean in my head, because there are so many things that I left unsaid. I can almost feel you walking in the distance, but I know that it's not reality. If you are echoing around inside these parallel dimensions all alone, now I'll find you in my dreams. My heart rages around like an ocean in my head. I can almost feel you walking in the distance, but I know that it's not reality. If you are echoing around inside these parallel
There's a distance between us. It's getting hard to.
Hello. Hi. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Hello. Hey. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Calm down. Calm down, everyone. Calm down. Okay. Let's see here. Who do we got here? We got Doug. Doug, first one here. Oh, back to tradition, Doug. Back to tradition. Hello, Doug. Who else we got here? We got who else we got here? We got Doug. We got Doug again. We got JDH. Hello, JDH. I think that's someone dancing. I can't. I love it though, JDH. Meowser, it is a copyright free thing from YouTube, but I'm gonna get Monster Cat because I looked into it, so I am gonna get Monster Cat. Hello, Weirdomorphous Blob. Hello, hello. Uh, okay. All right. Who else we got here? SoCal, hello SoCal, Ola SoCal. Thank you SoCal for being a comrade there and helping me out, helping me get more views. I need to rush finishing a library book. Hey, yay! I know how that goes. Weird Amorphous Blob. You do what you need to do. All right. Hello Mithril. Hello Alyssa. Um, uh, you're right. Maybe we shouldn't have calmed down now. So that's a good point. We're getting rid of woke and bringing back war for Christmas. Yeah. Ugh. America. Okay. Anyway, Dolly Boy. Hello, Dolly Boy. Dolly Boy. Um, happy birthday, Mithril. Everyone say happy birthday to Mithril. Okay. I'm the cult leader. I tell you, say happy birthday to Mithril. Okay. Happy birthday, Mithril. By the gods, yes. Hopefully you'll have many more years, Mithril. God's willing, right? Okay. Um, uh, fantastic. All right. Okay. Um, house is house is Friday. Why do they take so much? JDH, I'm not oh, I see what you're saying, JDH. Yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, they're taking a lot of time because they were on leave. Uh, they were on paid vacation, JDH, and unlike us, they it's and their vacation matters, unlike ours. So we have to wait till they get back from vacation. Essentially, they were demanded to come back, but no doubt they're being slow about it. Okay. Uh, oh, I know, JDH, but of course, JDH, you know this very well. They don't actually work for us, right? They work for themselves and for their donors. Okay, so, duh, JDH. I mean, come on. Okay, I'm just kidding. You know what I mean, JDH. All right. Hello, resident union thug. Okay. All right, guys. So I just wanted to do a little something here first, very briefly. Yeah, I know you know JDH. I know. First of all, we've had some pretty dark news yesterday, and then we had good news before that. We're kind of all bipolar at this point. Okay, we're all like every day is like either happy, sad, bad, good. Okay. By the way, I know. Okay, anyway, I shouldn't use bipolar as an example, but regardless, we but we also need revolutionary optimism, right? And I want you all to know that I am, after Mamdani and stuff, I do have quite a bit of optimism. Also, just seeing how angry people are at the Democrats is good news. There are a lot of very angry people right now that are angry at the Democrats, including a lot of corpos, like corporate Dems that are very angry, or I should say moderate Dems that are very angry. There is hope. Okay, this is a good sign. Rage is building. That's a good sign. We have Mamdani elected. I know that those Dems sort of betrayed us all, etc. I mean, that's a classic thing, though. But there are a lot of good signs out there. It is looking more and more likely like the tariffs are going to be shut down by a judge, which would further delegitimize Trump. I suspect that one of the reasons why he's pushing to give people money from the tariffs is to make it harder to overturn them. Uh, there's good stuff out there. Let's just put it that way. All right. And I also um, wanted to show you all something I found. So here we have an image. This was I'm trying to hide the name that's on there. It says Mr. Sam at the top. Okay. Mr. Sam with a smiley face. This is a picture that a student of mine drew for me, um, showing me, smiling and crap like that. I mean, it's cute, right? It's cute. Now, why am I showing this to you? Well, I actually I'm going to be putting it on the wall behind here. I'm going to be framing it and putting it on the wall because I know that a lot of us. This is how I think. Okay, a lot of us. Alyssa, don't ask questions. Apparently, they hadn't got taken biology class yet and realized that there were five, not four fingers. A lot of there are a lot of people out there looking to us to secure their futures and things like that. A lot of children, especially. Okay, I know I'm sound like Nancy Pelosi right now. Think of the children. Regardless, we should partially think of the children here, right? Um, and you know, we need to, for their sake, right? We also need to have hope, um, and try to fight for change. It's just something I want you to consider. This image just reminded me of that because, like, I'm pretty sure the day I um I was this individual drew me was like the 2 days after Trump was elected or something. Um, and I look super happy because through her eyes, right? Through her eyes, I was this hopeful, happy teacher, trying to push her to change things and da 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 da. Um, and it's good that that's how she views me, right? Because we want the young to think that they do have a voice and that they can change things, right? Or at least know that they, if they don't have a voice now, they can get their voice back through struggle and things like that. Okay. Um. Anyway, but we should always remember too that we not only are fighting for ourselves, we're also fighting for other people who can't fight for themselves. Okay, that also includes disabled people who aren't in a capacity, don't have the capacity to resist, minority groups who are, don't necessarily have a capacity to resist. Okay, anyway, I'll shut up now. I know I'm kind of on my, I'm on my soapbox. All right, we're no kidding. People are willing to hurt to get something, anything. Of course, a funding bill for some reason includes allowances for J6 reps to sue the gov. Of course, Alyssa. Of course, it does. All right. So just remember that, folks. It's kind of badass too how we're like the knights are not a good example. We're like the knights that are fighting for the. We're also fighting for people who can't fight for themselves. Okay, it's pretty badass, right? Okay, that's my masculine take on it. Okay. All right. So on that note, we have a few things to talk about. The first thing we're going to do is I will get to the news, as always. There's some big news items. One that isn't being talked about that much because of all the other stuff happening in the news, regarding an aircraft carrier being sent to, um, the Caribbean. By the way, I'm trying to stop doing so much Um, oh, that is so cool. Oh, that is so cool, Meowsor. I didn't know that. Comrade in Mandarin is Tongxi. Tongxi. I'm sorry, but in a uh, pronounced Tongxi. Okay, literally translates as common will or same aspiration. Tongxi has been integrated colloquially into the current. That is very cool, Meowsord. Okay. Yes, you're all badass. By the way, yes, you're right, Resident Evil. You're all badass because you're not only fighting for yourselves, you're fighting for people who can't fight for themselves. Okay. All right, you're all heroes, essentially. Okay. Even if you don't think you are. Okay. All right. So now, and that also gives me hope, by the way, because I know there's a lot of folks like you out there, everyone. Okay, really, think about it. I mean, we have this community going, a lot of us thinking that way. Yay, Death Die today. Okay, a lot of us thinking this way. That's a good sign, and we are fighting. Okay, moving on. Enough of that. Enough of that gay GHEY stuff. Right. Okay. So first, we're going to talk about. I'm going to force you to listen to a lesson, and then I'll get into the interesting news. Okay, because we always got to learn something first. I'm going to put this up here on the screen. Today, we're going to talk about something called Hindutva. Okay, and where'd my face go? By the way, folks, first I forgot to mention this. I haven't even put in a super chat goal yet. Whoopsie. So if we get one super chat, we're gonna get one super chat or 200 bits. We will do the jester hat. Okay. I'll just set it for 5 right now. Okay. We'll do the jester hat if we get one super chat or 200 bits. Okay, so 1 jester hat. Jester hat, okay. 3 a jester collar, and then 5 will be makeup. Okay. 5 jester makeup. All right, there we go. A jester hat, jester collar, jester makeup. Okay, so there's our goal. All right. So, hello, Marie. Welcome back. No quiz today, Marie. Our quizzes are on Fridays. Okay, so the quizzes will be on Friday, but during the week we actually do lessons that will then be there will then be questions from the lessons on the quiz. Okay, so today's the lesson today is Hindutva. Okay, all right, and then folks, so there we go. So we do have that super chat goal. Anyone who's interested. Okay, blah 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 blah. Let's continue. So we will get to the news. I do recommend it is important, folks, that when we are inundated with such information, especially news, like we're always being inundated by news. A lot of it's bad. A lot of us, myself included, get sort of into the news, right? And start drowning in it. And because of that, a lot of folks then have trouble learning new things or uh, learning new ways to look at the news because we're so used to looking at the news, we forget to learn other things that put the news in context. Okay, so it is important to learn separately from the news. Okay, I know that sounds bizarre, and that's sort of my job as a teacher is to try and provide that context. So that's why we do these lessons, which I hope my original goal was to help it provide context for the news for all of you. Okay, so let's talk about Hindutva today. Um, so, all right. On a side note here, and not really on a side note, there yesterday in India there were 2 explosions. One outside of can't remember exactly where they were. There were 2 explosions that occurred. Or I'm sorry, one was in India, one was in Pakistan. One occurred in India, and then there was another one that happened in Pakistan. It is unclear so far what caused these explosions. The last time I checked, they weren't sure. It might have been um, yeah, it probably was. Yeah, maybe it probably was Matt Saigai. Okay, just kidding. Called these explosions, and well, I'm very concerned because that's why we're talking about Hindutva today. Because there is a fascist movement that has taken over India. So we're going to learn about it today, and hopefully, first of all, it'll teach us more about fascism. It'll also help put into context what might end up happening in India, so that you all can kind of predict what might happen now. So let's continue. All right. So Hindutva. So Hindutva, um, oh, I see what you're saying, Meowsword. Oh, so Matt Saigai said one happened in New Delhi. That's right. So one happened in New Delhi. I got you. Um, yeah, one happened in New Delhi, and then the other one there was a separate one that was somewhere in Pakistan. And I'll go back and talk about them here in a second. So, uh, oh no, I'm sorry, Lulaine. Okay. So here we go. Let's talk about Hindutva, which is this fascist ideology. Um, uh, which is this sort of fascist ideology that is arose that has arisen in India. Okay, and it all goes back to this guy, Savarkar. Okay, Savarkar. And that's what I'll refer to him. I'll call him Savarkar from now on. That's what I'm referring to. So this guy was born in 1883 and died in 1966. And he believed, remember, the British Empire controlled India, very brutally controlled India, exploited them. Um, okay. Doug, not today. We won't talk about the communist Indian state today. Maybe eventually we will. Um, okay. And he founded a group called the Young India Society. Hello, Sir Bartholomew. With his brother, which carried out terrorist attacks, such as assassinating British officials. Honestly, you know, I would call them freedom fighters. Regardless, they assassinating British officials. Um, things like that. Okay, and in order to free India from British rule, um, and from sort of a right wing perspective. Okay, after moving to London, so he moved to London in 2000 in 1910. Okay, Sarvarkar was arrested and sentenced to 50 years in prison for his participation with India House, which was this Indian student movement in the UK or in Britain that was trying to fight for independence and Indian nationalism. Okay, he was put in prison for 50 years. They actually sent him back to the Indian subcontinent and forced him into a really awful prison called Cellular Jail, which was a horrible place that the British ministers would send people who were resisting imperial rule. Okay, and while he was there, he wrote a pamphlet called "The Essentials of Hindutva," which sort of outlined this fascist ideology of Hindu supremacy. He was released in 1824 after basically begging for mercy from the British officials. And then after that, he basically stopped criticizing the British, but he started talking a lot about Hindu nationalism and this sort of fascist nationalism that he was promoting for India. Okay. All right. So this is a quote from a a magazine called Quartz that does some pretty good work. Right from his childhood, Vinyak, which is the guy we're talking about's name, bemoaned the lack of unity and organization in Hindu society, ridden as it was with innumerable caste differences and other complexities. Finding an answer to who is a Hindu seemed germane to him at this point of time. From the confines of jail, he had been watching with alarm a Gandhi taking the Hindu community for a ride during the Khilafat agitation. So he was not a fan of Gandhi. Okay, he didn't like that Gandhi was trying to unite Hindus and Muslims under the same country because he hated Muslims, which you're going to see. Okay. The relative increase in the Muslim population that census had established, and the uncertain status of untouchables and tribal groups as Hindus for enumeration purposes made it the definition of a Hindu all the more critical. Okay. So he was upset about some things. And Quartz described this ideology as Hindutva was a pugilistic punch thrown against Gandhi in the competitive political ring for national leadership. Okay, so it was sort of an anti-Gandhi way of looking at things, but it was more than that. Okay, and you're going to see here. Later we're going to have to do some content warnings. Regardless, okay. So what is Hindutva? All right. So before I start, I want to ask all of you a question. I've talked a lot about fascism, and for God's sake, I hope some of you have learned something about it after all these time you've spent with me. Okay. So based off what I've taught you all about fascism, what you know about fascism, just guessing, knowing that he's a Hindu, okay, or he's very pro-Hinduism, uh, what do we, based off what you know of fascism, what kind of beliefs do you think are included in Hindutva? If you were to, there you go, Sir Bartholomew, right, strong man leader. What else? What else can we just guess? Based off what we know. Hindu nationalism. Yep. Hyper nationalism. What else? What else can we assume if I'm saying it's a fascist ideology? What do you think? Do we remember what palingenetic ultranationalism is? Hates every. Thank you, Soup Cheese Soup. Hello, Soup Cheese Soup. Yeah, pretty much hates everyone who isn't Hindu. Faith over facts. Macy 100%. And lastly, otherizing. Great. Okay. You guys, you all know it. Okay. Cracking down on political enemies. Okay. And the one last thing, yes, love of violence in the military mithril. And based off also, remember we talked about palingenetic ultranationalism. What do you think? What does that mean? And what do you think it meant in this context of this ideology? Does anyone remember what palingenetic ultranationalism is? Uh, you all got all those right. Okay. Uh, what do we think in this case, it would be if we're talking India. So palingenetic ultranationalism being there you go. There you go, Meowser. The idea of we need to revitalize, we need a national rebirth, a Hindu national rebirth that returns us to some mythical time, like make America great again type shit. Okay. All right. Uh, so you all guessed it. So let's get into what he believed. Okay. So this is it. Um, the three big components of Hindutva. By the way, the word Hindutva basically means Hinduness, which is kind of a meaningless word. But anyway, are these three things. One, a common nation, which means that uh, there is a fatherland or like a homeland. Oh, of course, mouse sword. A fatherland or a homeland for the Hindus, geographically defined as India. Okay. Um, okay, a common race. That the idea that Hindus share a shared bloodline and an ethnic descent from the ancient inhabitants of the land. Funny enough, you're going to see a lot of crossovers here between the Nazis and the Hindu nationalists. What quote unquote ancient inhabitants? Remember the Nazis? Do we think they're referring to when the Hindu nationalists say these ancient inhabitants? You'll be surprised. It's almost exactly what the Nazis said. Who do they think are the best in history? The ancient inhabitants. Uh, Anyone want to just throw out a guess here? It's okay if you're just listening. I'm just kidding. There you go, Mithril, the Aryans. Okay, so this idea here that all the Hindus come from the ancient Aryans, which are a superior race of people. Okay, number 3, all right? Also that all Hindus share the same culture, a shared civilization, legal system, history, and cultural traditions rooted in Hinduism. Okay, all right. So, classic fascist stuff. By the way, Hindutva is really inspired by European racism, like not even a little bit. Totally Meowzord, always Forerunner coded. Halo knew something, okay? Uh, Always inspired by Europe, was definitely inspired by European racism. So the premise of this early Hindu nationalism was reflected the colonial era European scholarship and Orientalism of the times. Uh, okay, the idea here was a lot of this guy especially was really had a lot of ideas in regards to race science that were taken from absolutely mithril race science that was taken from the Europeans. He Sarvikar began his historical narrative at the what he called the beginning, which is all made up. Okay, which according to him is when the first Aryans settled down in different parts uh, on the banks of the Indus River. So he thought that was the beginning of Hindu civilization, was when the Aryans came in. Okay. And that these Aryans then mixed with the darker skinned native peoples of India, and that ended up forming the Hindu nation. And he thought that that sort of mixture was like a good thing. Okay, weirdly enough, he thought that was a good thing because for most, European races, mixing is bad. But he kind of said, "Oh no, it's okay. We mixed, and that was a good thing." The Aryans' blood mixed with the native people's blood, which formed a unique Hindu racial nation. Anyway, okay. Of course. Hello, Drusilla, by the way. I started a bit early, Drusilla, okay? Of course, he believed that the Aryans were, of course, a racially superior people, and therefore the Hindu Indians were racially superior people, which was also a common European belief at the time. And by this calculus, Muslims, who had entered the Indian subcontinent much later in history, according to him, okay, were polluting the blood and culture of the Hindus. Boy, does this sound familiar, right? Boy, does this sound familiar. All right. Okay. So, what were the political goals of this ideology? Okay, Sarvikar's political goals. By the way, anyone's interested, you can read his book. It was called Essentials of Hindutva, later named "What is the Hindu?" or "Who is the Hindu?" Can't quite remember the name of it, but here it is on the right. Okay, if anyone's interested, it's kind of like a Mein Kampf. That's kind of like a Mein Kampf form, Hindu nationalist. Thank you, Resident Union Thug. Thank you. Okay, we got one. I'll put on the hat. Thank you. We definitely need this for the Hindu nationalists. Okay. All right. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. And these were his thoughts. Okay. Uh, right. Um. So. Oh, well, thank you. Okay, thank you for that, Brazil. Okay, why is it always the bookends of Abrahamic religions that get crapped on? What do you mean, Doug? What do you mean the bookends? Would you explain what you mean by that? Okay, so Sarvakar's political goals, right? He believed that he wanted to, what he said, Hinduize all politics and militarize Hindudom. Okay, he wanted more militant Hindus. Uh, uh, how dare you, Lee Lane? I don't have I don't have a response to that. You're actually kind of right. Okay. So, he viewed the peaceful because folks, for those who do know Hindus, it's a pretty peaceful religion. It's pretty peaceful. Uh, okay. Um, and so he viewed the peaceful aspects of Hinduism as weak. Okay. Boy, does it sound like Hitler. As weak as it had allowed the infiltration of Muslims and decadent Western ideas into India. And that the Hindus should have been fighting back against these things more violently. Although, weirdly enough, he was very pro the British Empire. But anyway, okay. He thought that secularism was a Western imposition on India, so that having a secular government was a Western imposition. And he also, by the way, funny enough, was self-described as an atheist, which is funny because he thought Hinduism was a cultural, racial, political identity, kind of like Hitler did, who claimed he was an atheist. Um, but he said he was an atheist, folks, but he had this weird mythical idea of Hinduism that was not secular at all and was sort of his own religious belief. Regardless, he often stressed that the social and community unity between Hindu, Sikhs, Buddhists, and Jains to the exclusions of Muslims and Christians. Okay, so he thought like Buddhists, Sikhs, Jains should all be included in this Hindu umbrella, but that Christians, Jews, and Muslims are not that and are inferior and shouldn't be included into the umbrella. Okay. By the way, India being a very religiously diverse continent. Okay. Sarvakar saw Muslims and Christians as misfits of the Indian civilization who could not truly be part of the nation. Okay. We get it. Very fascist language. Okay, here we go. Also, he had some interesting thoughts on women. So Sarvakar famously stated that kitchen and children are the main duty of women. He just bluntly outright said that. And Sarvakar did not, now weirdly enough, weirdly progressive of him, he did not oppose the education of women, but he suggested that their education should only be how they could be good mothers and how they can create a generation of good patriotic children. And in 1963, his book um, Six Glorious Epochs of Indian History, Sarvakar advocated the use of the use of, I don't even want to say the word grape, if you know what I mean, grape sexual assault as a political tool. He literally advocated its use against Muslim women by Hindus. Yeah, Drusilla, definitely not real education. And was calling for literally openly calling for what I just told you. Okay. Anyway, and he said the following. This is a quote from that book. I'll explain what it means here. He said, "Let the sultans and their peers take a pledge that in the event of a Hindu victory over our molestation and detestable lot, shall be avenged on Muslim women. Once they are haunted with this dreadful apprehension, that the Muslim women too stand in the same predicament in the case of the Hindu wins. The future Muslim conquerors will never dare to think of such molestation of Hindu women. You know, as in, right? As in, we should so horribly abuse Muslim women that Muslim men never abuse another Hindu woman. Um, yep, totally, totally there, Doug. Uh, uh, yep, also, rapist. Yep, Andrew Tate of Hinduism. And by the way, folks, you all know, one of the things we all know that one of the things I like doing by talking about this is reminding everyone that there are horrible people everywhere on the planet, right? Right. And yeah, India, right at this point, was definitely a major victim of imperialism and things like that. Doesn't mean that there, still aren't some people there that were pretty awful people. Okay. Because being bad people who do believe horrible things is a human universal. And that's something we can all get around, right? We can all get around that. Okay. Because weirdly enough, people all over the planet are actually humans. And so they can have pretty awful views and pretty good views. Doesn't really matter race, religion, anything like that. Okay. Anyway, moving on. So we can all unite around that sense of our humanity, can't we? All right, moving on. So Sarvikar, by the way, deeply admired Nazism and fascism. Um, uh, okay. So, in a speech before a 2,000 strong audience at Pune on the 1st of August, 1938, Sarvikar stood by Nazi Germany's right to Nazism and Italy's to fascism. He thought that they had achieved an unprecedented glory on the world stage and a successful inculcation of national solidarity justified the choices they had made. And Okay, Sarvikar also supported Hitler's anti-Jewish policy, and in 1939 he deemed that the Germans and the Jews could not be regarded as a nation. Um, by the way, he also in that same year compared Indian Muslims with the Jews of Germany, and then said it was okay what the Germans had done to the Jews, thus implying what he wanted to do to the Muslims. Okay. Uh, He famously said about Muslims, Indian Muslims are on the whole more inclined to identify themselves with their interests with Muslims outside of India than Hindus who live next door, just like the Jews did in Germany. Okay, so I'm not trying to over connect Nazism in his perspective, but they were literally basically the same, except he replaced Jews with Hindus. I mean, with Muslims. Okay, really awful guy. Okay, Oh, I'm sorry. Am I missing a cute chat here? What am I saying here? Oh, you're totally right, Jonas. Welcome, Jonas, by the way. Okay. All right. So this is oh, and by the way, Shocker, I added this just for fun. Shocker, he supported Israel. Very big supporter of Israel. In 1941, Sarvikar actually supported Jews resettling their fatherland of Israel in what he believed would defend the world against Islamic aggression. That's cute. Okay. That's cute. Uh, it kind of is, Meowsort. It kind of is. So again, he also loved Israel because he thought it was he viewed it as Islamophobic state, which it is, that would support people against, um, yeah, they exactly weird amorphous blob. He was overtly inspired by fascism. Okay, and he supported Israel. All right, that brings us to the next part of our presentation, the RSS. Yep, Jonas, 100%. Okay, this brings us to the next part of our presentation, the RSS. I wish is Matt Saigai here? I wish Matt Saigai was here. Maybe Matt Saigai's busy. Okay. So, as with every fascist movement, by the way, you got to have men who dress up like each other and march through the streets chanting slogans and crap to display their masculinity or whatever. So okay, formation of and I can't pronounce this. I just say RSS, but the Rashtriya Swamavsak, I'm sorry, song. You know what? I'm not even gonna try. The RSS, okay. Now, uh, there was a guy who was a very big fan of Sarvakar's ideology, and his name was Hejawar. Okay, and there's Matt Saigai. Hello, Matt Saigai. Okay, and very much got inspired by Sarvikar, and in 1925, he actually met with Sarvikar and was inspired to create a paramilitary organization, um, a violent paramilitary Hindutva organization called the RSS, which was the mission of this organization was to create a quote unquote Hindu nation, which I just explained to you meant the exclusion of Muslims, the idea that pure Hindus are derived from the Aryans. Okay, blah blah blah, all that crazy nonsense. Okay, here's an image. Yeah, it does, Melzord. Here's an image of them marching on the right here. This is a more modern day photo. They still exist today. They were founded to also to propagate the ideology of Hindutva, to provide what they called a new physical strength to the Hindu community, and was pretty explicitly directed against Muslims. Okay. Um, yeah, you're right. Okay, it does. Whenever I mention people, people seem to show up. Okay. And by the way, on a side note here, they collaborated with the British Empire. They did not fight against the imperialism of the British. They collaborated with the British. I am so sorry, Matt Saigai. I am very sorry to hear that. Okay, so if you want to like these people any less, does that help a little bit? The fact that, I mean, if you can like these people less, remember that they also were pretty much collaborationists with the British. Yeah, they were hypocrites. Okay, and remember how I said that um, Savarkar was didn't really talk about the British much after he had been imprisoned by them, and then after he left prison, he basically focused solely on Hindutva ideology. Like, even his organization didn't do much against the British, and the British never really worried about them because the British knew that they were kind of loyal and that wouldn't really resist them. Okay, anyway, so they collaborated with the British Raj. All right, okay. So some of the ceremonies and crap that the RSS created, uh, they would do Hindu ceremonies, and they still do apparently to this day. Um, uh, and they these play a large role in the organization. Okay. Um, not so much, and it wasn't really about religious observance, although over time, from what I know, uh, okay, both Meowzord. Meowzord asked, "Sorry if I wasn't paying attention. When they said Aryan, was it an Indian version of Aryan, or was it a weirdly self-hating affinity?" It was both, Meowzord. They thought that the Aryans were probably light-skinned and had come in, and then they said mixed with the local inhabitants of the Indian subcontinent, thus creating the Hindu race, which was superior. So it was kind of a mix of self-hatred, but they thought that they were Aryans. They thought they were derived of these. Yeah. They thought they were derived from sort of the European version of Aryan. Okay. Uh, okay. Uh, yeah, like the OG Aryan, right? Meowsword, like the Nazi lunatic mythological Aryan. Okay. Anyway, so they do these rituals kind of like the SS or SA groups and things like that. And they do these rituals to provide awareness of India's supposed glorious past, which goes back to like other fascist movements, the idea of palingenetic ultranationalism. We need to return some mythic past and renew the nation, etc. Okay. Um, and uh, Jonas, do you mean the original Aryans, Jonas? Yes, like the original. So this is complicated, Jonas. This scholarship is messy, but yeah, if you view the Aryans as an actual ethnic group, it wasn't just like they didn't just go into India or whatever. We don't even know if they like existed really as like a real group. It's very complicated. Yeah. Because it's been mixed with a lot of myth and things like that. And in any case, it's not like they were if they were a real ethnic group, which they probably were, it's not like they were superior to anyone, okay? Uh, 'Kay, you know, yeah, okay, so, it's not like they're superior to anyone, it's just that they were an ethnic group, and yeah, they came into India and they mixed according to the, Hindutvas, they mixed with, the native peoples of India, okay, and created the Hindu people. Alright, anyway, these paramilitaries, by the way, uh, 'kay, these paramilitaries were trained to beat people with bamboo sticks. These are what you see them holding here. They're trained with these things. They're called latti. Um, and they also were given bladed weapons and taught to use those, like thugs, kind of like you would expect to see amongst Nazi brown shirts. Okay. And also, look, if you look closely at this image here, like this is a sort of salute that they do. Looks pretty close to a Nazi salute. Pretty close. Pretty close to a Nazi salute. Anyway, okay, they also started developing a network of shakas or branches, basically, of this organization. And expanding their reach across the Indian subcontinent was sort of the main focus for Hejvar during his career as the chief of the RSS. Okay, so we get it, right? We get it. We have a bunch of people who are uh, basically Hindu nationalists, far right extremists who hate Muslims. Built a paramilitary up, have a racial idea of Hinduism mixed with the sort of cultural, spiritual idea of Hinduism, and they're building paramilitaries. Okay, okay, okay. Um, oh no, 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 no. I know, Matt's like I know it's not actually like a Nazi salute, but it does kind of look like. But my point is that that image makes them really look like Nazis, right? Because they're like a paramilitary doing a sort of salute and stuff. I know it's not taken from the Nazis. Okay, anyway. All right. So, by the way, on a side note here, Sarvakar's ideological mentor, B.S. Munje, okay, actually traveled to Italy, and met with Mussolini, okay, in 1931. Munji was impressed by the militarization of Italian society, especially the paramilitaries, and brought those ideas back to India, where he set up the Bonsala Military School, um, and the RSS later appropriated this model, sort of on a larger scale. And there's a very uncanny similarity between the RSS uh, and Balila, which is that thing he visited in Italy, in terms of recruitment and organizational setup. So a lot of these folks, um, okay, a lot of these folks are. Sorry, I'm trying to say here. So a lot of this stuff was taken from Italy. Um, all right. All right, where did I just go here? All right, here we go. So, all right. So, let's go on now to the acts of the RSS. So again, this paramilitary group. Um, so the RSS actually opposed the independence movement against British rule in India. Traitors, in my opinion. Anyway, so they opposed it. You know, shocking that the fascists opposed, independence from the imperial empire. Anyway, uh, and by the way, it was a member of the RSS that assassinated Gandhi in 1948 because a lot of members of the IRS did not like Gandhi's idea of a one nation model for India. They did not want to cohabitate with Muslims. And they thought that they didn't like the idea of a secular, um, the idea of a secular Indian constitution. They wanted it to be full of, uh, yep, indeed, Matt Guy. They didn't like the idea of um, a secular government. They wanted a lot of these Hindu nationalists wanted basically Hindu religious ideology in the constitution, and so one of them assassinated Gandhi, and then initially, the RSS didn't even recognize the Constitution of India and strongly criticized it because the Indian Constitution made no mentions of Manu's laws, which is a reference to a Hindu religious text where they wanted to get like the laws of India and things like that from. They basically wanted like a Hindu theocracy type idea. Um, and again, they didn't like secularism. And here you have, they also were upset by India's new flag. On the top here, you see India's new flag, which is sort of a diverse flag, mixing a bunch of things, Hindu, Islam, things like that. They didn't like this. It was too representative of the whole country. So they wanted the flag, the boring flag here on the bottom, which is orange and represents only really Hinduism, Hindu nationalism. Okay. Anyway, okay. Um, okay. Oh, absolutely, Matt Saiga. Yeah, India was created as a secular country. And yeah, okay. All right. So next here, okay. Now some people have complaints about Nehru, who was the first prime minister of the newly independent India. But he did one thing that I really support. Okay, he did at least one thing that I really support. These other things probably too. I agree that he did. So based Nehru, he banned the RSS. Okay, he banned it as soon as after Gandhi was assassinated. So in December 1947, Nehru wrote that we have a um, okay, uh, okay, okay. We wrote that we have a great deal of evidence to show that the RSS is an organization which is in the nature of a private army and which is definitely proceeding on the strictest Nazi lines, even following the techniques of the organization. So, hey, gotta love Nehru for calling them out for being Nazis and openly banning them and saying, nope, no more of that. Okay, now, eventually they were unbanned. Um, uh, okay. Uh, yes, but Matt Saiga, like, of course, given the structure of rule, it was basically Nehru's administration, right? So Nehru, and this is actually what Nehru wrote. He actually wrote this. So he sort of like he was sort of was backing it, right? He was backing the banning of this group. Um, okay. So let's go on a little bit here because now we're going to get into why do we care about this, right? What is this? What is the relevance of all this stuff for today, right? Evolution of the RSS. So eventually, skipping some stuff here, the RSS evolved into a major political party. Okay. Uh, so called the BJP, which is one of the largest political parties today. Um, okay, largest political parties around today in India. Uh, okay. Oh, that okay. You know what? That is fair, Matt. So I did not know that. That is interesting. So it was really Patel. I got you. So I should give more credit to Patel. I got you. Okay. So Uh, basically, the BJP formed as the political arm of the RSS in 1980. Okay, and when it first was in national government in the 1990s, it avoided talking about its Hindutva priorities and focused instead on a largely neoliberal economic policy that prioritized globalization and economic growth over social welfare. Okay, so it was like a pro-capitalist neoliberal organization initially. It didn't focus much on the Hindutva. It still believed the Hindutva stuff. It just didn't focus on it in order to get more electoral victories, etc. And then, but in 2014, so not that long ago, folks, the BJP actually was reelected in got massive electoral victories, and has really started going hard into the Hindutva stuff. Um, yeah, yeah, he's great. Nehru is great. Matt's like, I don't get me wrong. Uh, okay, so and again, and since the BJP has been in power, there's been a massive nationwide democratic backsliding. They a lot of the democratic nature of the Indian government has backslided tremendously, and we're going to talk a bit more here. Okay, so let's talk about this guy. Let's talk about this guy who Matt Saigai loves. That's a joke. Matt Saigai hates this guy. I'm just being an asshole. Okay, this is Narendra Modi. And he is the current prime minister of India. and he was the representative for the BJP. Okay, yeah, weird amorphous blob. Boo. Okay, boo. He's been the prime minister of India since 2014. He has run, I believe, he's had 3 terms as prime minister. He joined the RSS at the age of 8. So he was a part of these far-right Nazi-adjacent RSS paramilitaries. And in the 1985, he was assigned to, yeah, oh, I know, Jonas, right? Okay. In 1985, the RSS assigned him to be their representative in the BJP, and he through a lot of political maneuvering and stuff. He ended up becoming the general secretary of BJP in 1998. Okay, in 2001, Modi was appointed chief minister of the state of Gujarat, which he had. Yeah, I know Trump failed. Like you have to be. Yeah. Okay, he joined it at age 8. Modi was appointed the chief minister of Gujarat and elected to the legislative assembly soon after. So now he has political power, and he is thought to have been complicit in the 2002 Gujarat riots. Now, folks, we're going to talk about the Gujarat riots now. And I want to tell you all, well, first, I'm going to warn you, content warning. I'm going to tell you some of the stuff that happened in these riots. And just remember, we're dealing with what are fascists here. And remember what some of the things I told you that they believe about Muslims. You can expect that what I'm about to tell you is not going to be pretty. So just to warn you. Okay. All right. So here we go. Okay. Yeah. So let's do a case study here to show you how the RSS its sort of infiltration into the government and the Hindutva ideology, the kind of things this resulted in. Okay, I haven't talked much about violence, but there was a lot of violence before this too. Regardless, okay. So, all right. On the morning of the 27th of February 2002, there was a train that was returning from a really important Hindu city, one of the like a Hindu holy site. Essentially, the city contains a temple that's considered one of the most important Hindu holy sites. Yeah, okay. And it stopped near Gadra railway station. There were a lot of Hindu uh pilgrims on this train who were returning from a pilgrimage. Um, and the details here are sort of unclear. What we do know is that an argument erupted between the train passengers and the vendors that were on the railway platform, and the argument became violent. And under uncertain circumstances, 4 coaches of the train caught fire. Okay. And many people got trapped inside. It is thought that around 50 people burned to death, 59 people burned to death, including women and children. Now, what? Okay. This Gujarat, right, is the state that Modi is basically the head of. Okay, knowing what we know about fascists, who do you think they're going to blame for this? Who do we think is going to be blamed for this fire, regardless of whether it's true or not? There you go, soup, cheese, soup, Muslims. And what do you think happened? Okay. So, oh God, where'd my picture go? Oh, well, that's okay. So, following this attack on the train, okay, basically a Hindutva organization called I'm not going to try, I don't, the Vishva Hindu Parishad, okay, which is a Hindutva organization, called for a statewide strike. And these were often known for becoming violent, okay, because you have a bunch of people who aren't working, they'll wander the streets and might get into some stuff, okay. So the chief minister at the time, who was Narendra Modi, declared that the attack on the train had been an act of Muslim terrorism, basically that Pakistan, with the assistance of local Muslims, um, was it, Matt's like, I doubt it was. I doubt it was, Matt's like, you're just joking, right? Okay. Okay. Declared that the attack on the train had been an act of Muslim terrorism that had been caused by Pakistan with the assistance of local Muslims. And almost immediately, local newspapers and members of the BJP-run state government used the statement to incite violence against the Muslim community. Oh, wow. Thank you, Matt. Okay. against the BGP run state government, used the statement to incite violence against the Muslim community by claiming, without proof, that the attack on the train was carried out by Pakistan's intelligence agency and that local Muslims had conspired with them to attack Hindus. By the way, we now know that it was almost certainly just an accident that this fire broke out. There is zero evidence that it was caused by Pakistan. Most of the investigations have shown it wasn't caused by Pakistan. It was just the fire was sort of an accident that occurred after this fight broke out. Regardless, they didn't care, right? They also, false stories started being printed in local newspapers claiming that Muslim people had kidnapped and raped. I'm sorry, I shouldn't. Damn it. Okay, I shouldn't say that on YouTube. Had raped, okay, had sexually assaulted Hindu women. Okay. All right. And then again, here we go. All right. So numerous accounts describe the attacks on the Muslim community that began the day after. So after this fire, a bunch of attacks broke out against the Muslim community. Um, and they were highly coordinated, though. We now know these attacks were highly coordinated. They had been give these bands of Hindu extremists, Hindutva and things like that, had mobile phones, had been given mobile phones, and had been given government issued printouts listing the homes and businesses of Muslims. Okay, and attackers started arriving in the Muslim communities across the region in trucks, wearing saffron robes, so that orange color I showed you before, and khaki shorts, bearing a variety of weapons, and thus began an orgy of violence and destruction. Here's an image on the right. You can see fires breaking out across the city as this violence begins. Again, folks, content warning for what I'm about to tell you happens. Okay. So it is thought that in these so-called riots, between 1,000 and 2,000 people were killed. Maybe more, might be more. Some scholars describe the violence as a pogrom. Okay, a pogrom, kind of like what was done to Jewish folks in Europe. And because a majority of the people killed were Muslims, so it's almost like it was violence done specifically against Muslims. Okay, there were some Hindus killed as well, but the majority were Muslims. All right. In addition to these many brutal killings, many grapes were reported. Okay, like a lot. Remember what I said? The sort of the founder of this ideology said about using grape as a weapon against Muslims. They definitely did that. Okay, they definitely used it here. And there were many Muslim women raped. Okay, and there was widespread looting and destruction of property. Narendra Modi, by the way, who was the chief minister of Gujarat and later prime minister of India, was accused of condoning the violence, because he did. As were the police and government officials who allegedly directed the mob and gave them lists of Muslim-owned properties. Also, Modi sort of prevented the police from acting sooner, and he sort of prevented a lot of outside assistance. Yeah, Matt Saigai. He prevented a lot of outside assistance from coming into the state to stop the violence. He kind of slowed it down. Muslim victims of the riots were subjected to further discrimination when the state government announced their compensation would be half of the compensation offered to Hindu victims. And that decision was later reversed after the issue was taken to court. Okay. So even after it, they still punished Muslims by initially refusing to give them the same amount of reparations payments that were given to Hindus. Okay. Content warning again. I'm going to read this to you aloud, but again, content warning. Content warning. This is a quote from a health journal called Reproductive Health Matters about what occurred here, during these riots. A chilling technique. Yeah, Matt Saigai, I don't know if I buy it, but I get it. You're right. A special court did clear him of any involvement. But maybe I'm paranoid, Matt Saigai. I don't know if I fully buy it. Okay. So a chilling technique absent in pogroms unleashed hitherto, but very much in evidence this time in a large number of cases, was the deliberate destruction of evidence. Barring a few, in most instances of sexual violence, okay, the women victims were stripped and paraded naked, then gang raped, and thereafter quartered and burnt beyond recognition. Quartering, by the way, folks, is where you cut a person into pieces, and burnt beyond recognition. The leaders of the mobs even uh, assaulted, I'm just going to say that word, I don't want to say the other word much here, young girls, some as old as 11 years old, before burning them alive. Even a 20-day-old infant or a fetus in the womb of its mother was not spared. So, okay. Is that so, Ida? Is that so? Let me check, folks. Yep. So apparently, folks, um, okay. So darn it, okay. I was going to talk about this after we ended with this presentation, but apparently Pakistan has declared that it is in a state of war again because of those terrorist attacks that took place in Pakistan following the terrorist attacks in India. Um, just trying to see here. I want to see though if it really is against India. Give me a second here, folks. And against who though? Okay, no. Okay, so it's not India. Whew. Okay, this is okay. It's not against India. It is the Pakistan army is fighting this war. It's the Afghan-Pakistan border. Okay, good. So this isn't actually a war against India. All right. Whew. Okay. Gosh. Woo. Okay. Right. I because that would be horrific. Because they're nuclear nations. Anyway. So moving on here. Uh. Okay. So, I mean, still not good. War's still not good, but yeah, I didn't want nukes to start flying. Okay. So, all right. So, last question I'm going to have for you. It is Meowzord. Last question I'm going to have for you, everyone. Modi was later elected prime minister of India. He's still the prime minister of India today, despite everything that happened. Okay. From what you've all learned about fascism, what do you think? How do you think he got elected? What do you think his messaging was in the election that got him elected? Based off what you know of fascism, what do you think his messaging was in his first election, where his party got the majority of the reps, etc.? Or not the majority, like 30 some percent, but had the most out of any other party. Well, if you were to guess based off what we know of fascism, what kind of rhetoric do you think he used? Okay, Mithril, you're not wrong. Make India great again. Sort of a very similar sort of thing to that. Yeah, sort of a Pax India kind of thing. Uh, yep. Trump failed. Make India a Hindu nation. Bring back the family. Make everything cheaper. 100%. Yep. The danger. A lot of it was about development and the need to develop. To further develop and focus on neoliberalism and things like that. He actually, weirdly enough, did not do a lot of scapegoating. He didn't talk a terrible amount about Muslims. There you go, Matt Sagi. Okay, he didn't talk a lot about Muslims the first election. He focused mainly on economic things and corruption in government and how the normal parties had failed the Indian people. He wanted to, exactly, Matt Saiga. He wanted to, one might say, clean. What is it? Drain the swamp of corruption. Very similar language to Trump, minus he didn't do a lot of scapegoating in this election. Probably to hide his hand. You know what I mean? Okay. Um. So okay. So now he is purify the nation. Yeah. Now he didn't really go that far. Trump failed, but so but for a lot of it was, economic stuff, anti-corruption stuff. Okay. So now Modi is the prime minister of India, and he's being reelected twice. Okay. And he has massively centralized, starting with sort of the administration, the prior governments who kind of started this process, kind of like in the United States. He has massively centralized the power of the government in his own hands. He passed a bill to increase his control over the appointment of judges. He has filed his government has filed cases of sedition and terrorism laws against individuals who have criticized the government, and he also began a massive crackdown on Muslims. Okay, Um, and including, by the way, saying that Muslims can't really be citizens of India, amongst other things. All right. And by the way, Trump loves this guy, and MAGA does too. Weirdly enough, a lot of MAGA folks talk about loving Modi and crap like that. Okay, because birds of a feather they stick together. All these fascists love each other, and I'm not going to go too much more into this. I'm actually going to stop there. But um, yeah, there you go, Matt Saigai, okay, which is very similar to Trump, okay, how corrupt the previous government was and stuff like that. Yeah, they all love their hatred of Muslims. By the way, he's also a big fan of Israel in a lot of ways. Okay. So that is our story. How the current leader of India is a Hindutva, is a believer in Hindutva, a Hindu nationalist, very Trump adjacent. It's basically a fascist regime. Okay. And that's scary, especially since India is a massive country, huge population. You got to feel for the people that live there, especially the Muslims that live there. And just keep an eye on this because, and this brings me to why I'm talking about this today. Yesterday, there was a terrorist attack, or we actually don't know yet. I should say there was an explosion in India. All right. So there was explosion in Delhi, okay, that is thought to have killed, this is yesterday, killed about 13 people. Is it CR? Okay, thank you. It's designated as a terrorist attack. My concern here, folks, is what do we think will happen? Let's say it is, I don't know, do we know? Okay, oh God, vows not to spare those behind. I'm trying to see, do we know who it was that did this attack? My concern is, folks, that it will be found to be Muslims. Uh, and even if it isn't, knowing the history of the Hindutvas, they might blame Muslims anyway. And even, I guess, apparently Modi is now saying that he's vowing not to spare those behind the New Delhi car blast. Um, okay. So I'm just reading here because this stuff is still updating. Meanwhile, there was another terrorist attack in Pakistan. Uh, I'm just trying to read here if we know. Does it? Damn it. Okay, so that's what I'm worried about. Apparently, early reports do indicate that there were some Muslims involved. Again, folks, um, that this obviously Islam is this isn't an issue with Islam. It's an issue with radicals amongst other things. But regardless, so I'm very afraid for what Modi's going to do now. Now that he has this lovely little event he can take advantage of. Okay. All right. And there was then an attack in Pakistan, which appears not to have been related so far. We're not sure yet. Okay. Okay, folks. That's my presentation. There may be a question on the quiz this coming Friday on Hindutva. All right. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm going to put up my and looks like they're actually using anti-terrorism laws to investigate people. Damn it. Okay. So just be aware of this, folks. Fascism is thriving in a lot of places, including India. Oh, good. He promised to take any terror attack going forward as an act of war. Who? Who is doing the war? This is what worries me, Matt. So I got what does he mean? Like, is he claiming a state was responsible for it, or is he saying that Muslims generally are responsible? Like, this is scary. Okay, so anyway, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm probably Pakistan, right, Matt Saigai? But anyway, uh, yeah. But also he could generalize that to mean all Muslims, as you know, Matt Saigai. Anyway, okay. So, all right, folks, I'm gonna put my face back up here. Yeah, of course they are, Matt Saigai. Of course they are. Definitely, Pakistan. Okay. Which will, of course, also probably mean some attacks on Muslims in India too. Let's be honest, because they seem to have trouble differentiating the two. Okay. All right. So, guys, again, I'm sorry, I'm eating some pork. I know that's random. I know that's random. I know it's not kosher. Alas, I also think it's not halal. Forgive me, folks out there. But if we get 2 more super chats, I will put on the jester collar. And we got some other stuff to talk about now. So that is the Hindutva fascism. Okay, it's okay, Suchi. It's been sitting here so it's kind of cold at this point. It's kind of tough because it's been reheated, but it's okay. Can you hear me now? That was weird. Okay, again, I didn't touch anything. I think I just need a new mic. Anyway, there's a weird conversation going on in chat, and it's weirding me out. There's a lot of friendliness and stuff in chat between Lee Lane, Drizella, Resident Union Thug, and am I missing Alyssa? Like why why is there so much friendliness going on here? Um, why are you all being friendly with each other and talking about important issues? Okay, that is not the stream for this. Okay, that is not the stream for your friendly conversation about important issues. Okay, um, right, yeah, that comment, the one psycho racist Texas congressman. I know, I'm just being, yeah. Why are you all being so nice? I don't like it. Okay, just yeah, right. Weird. We're pals. I know you're all pals. Yeah, everyone needs to hate each other. I'm going to use divide and conquer strategy. There's too much organizing going on in chat. That might mean the overthrow of my regime. By the way, that's similar to what the British Empire did in India. They purposely tried to sow divides between the Muslim and Hindu communities so that it'd be easier to rule them. Anyway, side note. Okay. But I thought you were a woman worshiper, right, Alyssa? Isn't every woman worshipy of you? Apparently, no. I think the thought here was that I am worshipy of every woman, right, Alyssa? I think he was implying that I was trying to get women to worship me, which is hilarious because he clearly doesn't know I'm gay as F, right? Like, anyway, no, you're good. I'm just kidding, Drizzle. You all keep chatting. Okay, I like it. Okay. I'm right weird, Morris Bob. Okay. Um, so, ooh, we have some things to talk about. No, please keep chat. I was joking, folks. I like seeing you chat. Thank you, Matt Sly Guy. I know I could have gone in more detail, but yeah, okay. All right. So let's talk about some news, shall we, folks? Let's talk about some news. Uh, all right. I know, right, Lee Lane. Um, I know Lee Lane is such a homophobe. No wonder. Yeah, I'm not surprised, Lee Lane. Just kidding. All right. Uh, so all right. So let's talk about this. We got some other horrible news today. All right. Yay for us. Yay for us. Here we got this news here. A US aircraft carrier uh is um is moving Drizilla, I'm gonna call in the Pinkertons, or I'm gonna call in some strike breakers. The anti-casual revolt, right? Where tomorrow was it Alyssa or was it, I think it was Lee Lane who was already plotting a casual revolt, or what was the phrase you guys came up with? Who was it? Yeah, thank you. Revolt the revolt. There you go. Okay. I don't think London would like that. Okay. All right. I know, shocking, Drizilla, right? Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm a pig. I know. I'm like shoving pork in my mouth while I'm talking to all of you. Give me a second. Yeah, damn right, Meows. You better not admit it. Okay. Um, how dare you, Resident Union Thug? Okay. Oh, that's right. He did. He did make a graphic. I'll remember that, Malzorb. I'll put that in a file somewhere. Okay. Um. So that's true. Okay. So guys, some disturbing news. All right. I know I'm kind of on a side note here. So the U.S. is moving a carrier, the Gerald Ford, which is one of the largest, newest, largest carrier we have in our naval fleet, into the Latin American region, probably into the Caribbean. Um, and I want to point out that when you move a carrier, an aircraft carrier, for those who don't know what an aircraft carrier is, this is an aircraft carrier. They are massive ships. And you never just send an aircraft carrier, okay? Because aircraft carriers are like mobile bases. They're basically star destroyers. Like they are massive, very powerful. Don't you try to talk with your mouth. Drumfield, I'm not going to respond to that. Okay. They are, I don't know, half the planet, soup cheese. They are very big vessels. Yeah, it's like a giant mobile military base, and it never is alone. You always have dozens of ships that protect it, destroyers, support ships. It is like a moving city with a bunch of it's a fleet. It's never just one ship, it's a fleet, okay, with layers of defense around it. It's kind of like the Death Star from Star Wars. It can destroy. There you go. Thank you. Death Die Today. They are the Death Stars of nonfiction, and we are sending the biggest one into the Caribbean to quote unquote fight drug smugglers, as if we need a Death Star to do that. Now, I don't know about y'all, but it seems to me that is not the reason for doing this. Yeah, we only have like 7 of them. Yeah, Trump failed. And they're extremely powerful. Like I'm not exaggerating when I'm like they're like star destroyers or like you could almost wage an entire war with one of them. Okay, you could turn like a whole country into glass with one of them. I mean, they have a lot of firepower on them. Okay, and I don't know about you. Like, why would we be doing this? Uh, by the way, it's leaving Norway. Thank you, Drusilla, for allowing us to stay over in Norway. I guess. And okay, so sending this massive warship there. Okay, so the Gerald Ford aircraft carrier strike group has moved into the Latin American region. U.S. officials said on Tuesday, dramatically escalating a military buildup that has deepened tensions with Venezuela. Donald Trump, okay, Donald Trump has ordered the deployment of Ford last month, adding to the 8 warships a nuclear submarine and F-35 aircraft already in the Caribbean. The Ford, which is the United States' newest aircraft carrier and the world's largest, has over 5,000 sailors aboard. Okay, and Nicolas Maduro from Venezuela is alleging that the U.S. buildup is an attempt. I know, Drusilla. Okay, that the U.S. buildup is designed to drive him from power. Okay, and by the way, remember, folks, that there is an award that Washington, so our government has put out a reward for information leading to Maduro's arrest and is offering $50 million for anyone who's willing to link him to drug trafficking. And we all know what the government has been trying to do to quote unquote drug traffickers. It's been killing them. It certainly seems like there's a plan at regime change going on here, right? I mean, am I crazy? Okay. The U.S. military, by the way, has already carried out around 19 strikes against suspected drug vessels. Alyssa, I got you here. So, Alyssa, when fortunately over time we have developed something called the imperial presidency, because technically speaking, Alyssa, in order for the United States to go to war, Congress needs to declare war. But we got a problem. That problem is that the American president controls the military. So it started this process. CR, did you see me mentioning the plane that crashed? I did not, Drusilla. Forgive me if I missed it. Um, I'll go back. Congress would need to declare war, but the president controls the military. So what started happening historically is that the president would just send troops places and then ask for Congress for forgiveness. So basically, the president could start the war, and then Congress would put a rubber stamp on it. So we've reached the point basically where the president alone can decide when a war starts, and it's called the imperial presidency, and it's a really big issue. Really big issue. Yeah, very big issue. Which has been a long process of us losing checks and balances on the presidency. Weird Amorphous Blob, I'd say as well to drive as driving power definitely defeating. Oh God, of course, of course that's what they want. Weird Amorphous Blob. Let me see here what you mentioned here. Oh, Drusilla. Okay. A NATO plane with around 20 people crashed. I think it was on the border of Georgia and Azerbaijan. Was it shot down, Drusilla? I hope it wasn't shot down. Okay. Yeah, exactly, Alyssa. I mean, Alyssa, we are the global superpower. Now, admittedly, Alyssa, China is getting up there also. But when you're the top dog, no one like what are other countries going to do, right? Like it's the issue of empire, right? It's the issue of empire. Is that when you have an empire, you can get away with crap like this. You can ignore international law. Okay. I mean, you shouldn't, but I'm just saying, so we can be monsters as much as we want. And what else can people do? Not much. All right. So let me look up this thing that Drusilla is mentioning. C-130. Because if this is a NATO plane getting shot down near the Russian border, oh my God, it's a C-130. It is a C-1. I mean, I'm sorry, I knew it was a C-130, but I didn't know why. Why did this crash? Um, it is, Alyssa. That's the problem, is that there's no enforcement mechanism for international law. So if the most powerful country doesn't follow it, there's nothing to enforce that because who can fight the most powerful country? Turkish military plane crashes in Georgia with at least 20 on board. Jesus. Okay. Do we know footage circulating? Okay, we still don't know what caused the crash. So this, okay, something detached wings. Okay, it might be, sort of. So there was a NATO military plane that crashed. Um, I'm just trying to see. Interesting. It does say that Georgia's interpress agency cited the country's interior minister as saying the incident was being investigated under a criminal code article covering air transport and the loss of life. Um, yeah, we don't know. We don't know yet. So it spiraled down, but doesn't have to be malicious, right? Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if any more info comes about. This is a scary thing, though. If it is in fact linked to a Russia attack. Okay. I'm gonna just eat some more pork. Okay. Thank you for telling me, Drusilla. Okay. So my fear here, folks, is that this aircraft carrier, someone's gonna make a mistake, right? Either Venezuela is going to fire at American forces in defense of their land, or American forces are going to hit Venezuelan forces and start a war, which will then be used as a justification for invading or for and maybe not invading, I don't think we'll do an on-the-ground invasion, but going to war with Venezuela. So, gotta love the American empire, right? Gotta love the American empire. All right. So, yeah, or a mistake, right? New Zealand. Yeah. Oh no, we're more like, but it would be if they would. I don't think it'd be Venezuela, but if like America violates their airspace or something, and they do defend themselves, which would be legal, the United States would then scream that they're the victims, right? So anyway, but I would bet it'd be America first. Okay, so let's go to this next thing here. Another thing here. Uh, another thing here. Trump failed. I heard about the UPS crash. Okay. Which some of you may know about already. This lady right here, Arizona Representative elect Grijalva, to be sworn in this week. So something that has been preventing sort of a deeper dive into the Epstein files is that this rep has not been allowed to sit in Congress. The Republicans, Mike Johnson, has basically prevented this representative from being seated in Congress, because if she is seated in Congress, it will likely enable a vote that will result in the Epstein files being released. Now, because Congress is getting back together, they're going to have to do a vote on Grijalva, which means she'll likely be seated. And then it'll likely mean that eventually the Epstein files will in fact be released. Now, I'm not does that mean that they will actually release them like the real ones? Probably not, in my opinion, but I mean, I wish they would, but I suspect that they'll find some way around it. But that is an interesting development. So something to look out for. The fact that they're having to reconvene to pass this this bullshit continuing resolution that the Democrats caved on because they're weak, is forcing the Republicans to basically seat this woman who will vote to release the Epstein files. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so that's something else to keep an eye out on. And I think I got one more thing here. Yep, we hope, right? I never am 100% certain. Okay, so exactly, we're more like it'll be like heavily redacted, I'm sure. Okay, now what I'd like to do, folks, is those are some of the news things I wanted to talk about. We got some things to react to now. I pulled up some videos to look at. Forgive me, I know I'm eating. I don't know why I decided to do this while I was streaming. What can I say? A little barbecue sauce, little pork. Okay. If we get 2 more super chats, Jester caller. Okay. If we get up to 5, makeup. If we get to 10, Jester after dark. Okay. So, as part of our continuing week of anti-capitalism, our anti-capitalism week that we're doing in contradiction or contravention of anti-communism week, right? I found a cute little video that it was done by so let's look at this together, okay? So I found this video, it popped up on my feed, and it's by an organization. It says why socialism sucks in theories. Oh, did Marie do a membership? In that case, yes, it does count. Okay, thank you, Marie, for becoming a member. So we only need 1 more for the caller. Thank you very much, Marie, or Ida. Okay. No, this isn't Nick. This isn't Nick. Is it Nick Freitas? It might be. I don't know. But this is a great way to invest. You should investigate stuff you see online, folks. So this popped up in my feed. It says why socialism sucks in theory and practice. So what did I do? I opened up to see who actually made the video. It brought me to this site, which says the Y minutes. Our objective at the Y minutes is to provide insight regarding some of the most pressing questions we ask about how society works. We explore the
How is it
underlying
possible
reasons.
that a tiny little island nation in the
the underlying reasons, motivations, and philosophies that inform decisions, promote greater understanding, and advance a society dedicated to preserving and advancing freedom. Okay, well, this sounds great. And then they include a link. So then I clicked on the link. And let's see, because the thing you want to see when you do these sort of things, folks, is see who is funding these stuff, right? Like, okay, who's funding this video, right? If it's an academic who has a legitimate perspective on why socialism sucks, hey, I'm willing to listen to it. But, you know, first of all, we got this lovely background here, this man kind of sitting in a dark room reading, his back straight, wearing a vest for some reason. Okay, and then let's go to the about page. It is Nick Freitas, okay? So the guy that we see there on the page is Nick Freitas, enlisted in the United States Army after high school and served in the 82nd Airborne. Blah, 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 blah. He served 2 combat tours in Iraq with the Green Berets. After leaving the military, Nick has worked as a subject matter expert. Yeah, right, Dolly Boy. And consultant on matters of national security to include counterterrorism, unconventional warfare, and counterinsurgency. He was elected as a Republican, because I looked it up, where he serves to the Virginia House of Delegates, where he serves on the Transportation and Science and Technology Committee. Okay. So the founder, let's see who the founder is. Okay, here we go. This is what I found. Okay, so the founder of this organization is this lady, Freda Levy. Freda Levy owned and managed a book distribution business for 18 years. After selling her business, she co-founded Moving Picture Institute, which promotes liberty through film, whatever that means. She is also the founder of the Y Minutes. Okay, Mrs. Levy is a member of several boards, including the Club for Growth, which is a right-wing organization, and the American Private Radio, another right-wing organization. Mrs. Levy began her working career as legislative aide on Capitol Hill and then in the Reagan-Bush administration. Does that give away what the kind of bias here is? She served under Reagan. She holds an MBA from the Darden School in the University of Virginia and a BA from the University of Connecticut. Okay, so knowing the background, is that so Trump failed? Oh, okay. All right. So let's see here what we got. Let's watch this video. I have not actually watched it, but we all know the background, so we can assume what it's going to say. But just for shits and giggles and part of our anti-capitalism week and countering the anti-communism week, let's watch it, shall we? I'm going to take another bite of my pork. I love some cooked pig. Yum. Okay. Right, Mithril? Okay, oink, oink, right, Mithril. I know. I'm basically a cannibal because I'm a pig eating a pig. Okay, anyway. Everyone ready? Everyone excited? Okay, here we go.
Sure, socialism has had its problems, but it's still a great theory. Well, actually, I think it sucks as a theory.
How dare you?
I'm Nick Freitas, and this is the Y Minutes, where we challenge the popular narratives of our time. Now, whenever we talk about socialism, the first thing that we have to do is define our term, because there is a lot of discussion.
$10 says he doesn't define it correctly. Anyone want to make a bet with me? Anyone want to make a bet? $10 doesn't define it. He doesn't define it correctly.
About what exactly socialism is. But it's important to point out that words have meaning, at least they still do. And in order for something to be truly socialist, then it has to incorporate this concept. Socialism is a system or condition of society in which the means of production are owned and controlled by the state or the people.
Okay. Okay, you know, do we think, from what we've learned, folks, about socialism, is socialism fundamentally where the state controls? There you go. Yes, you're right. Okay. Yeah, totally right. 38 trillion reasons why capitalism sucks in theory. Totally, Ida. Right. Totally. Okay. So is this true, folks, that socialism is where the means of production are owned and controlled by the state or the people? Technically not true, right? Now, there are varieties of socialism. The idea of socialism is where the means of production are owned. Yeah, okay, owned by the workers. In some cases, you could say that's the state if the state is the people, I guess. But it's the workers, right? They own their own businesses. They own their own enterprises. Yeah, right, exactly, Dolly. Well, yeah, like the state and the people. Okay, so they love, of course, conflating socialism with the state. Okay, all right. There are, by the way, anarchic forms of socialism where is no state, and communism, in theory, is where there is a stateless society. So, okay, you can though have socialism where if you have a democratic government that is run by the people then can take control of industry through the state, but technically it's the people, and it would have to be the people through the workers. Okay, but regardless, that is not what socialism is. Okay,
So what
continue.
the hell does that mean? Well, under socialism, you can still own your toothbrush or a pair of shoes or some other sort of good, but you are not permitted to have private ownership of the very capital which is needed to produce those goods and services. No,
Hey, you know what? Admittedly, kind of true. You are allowed to have personal property under socialism. You are allowed to have personal property, like you're allowed to have a car and you're allowed to have toothbrush and personal things in a house, etc. Okay, which a lot of people think that like under like socialism you won't have any. Um, yeah, he doesn't have any clue. Yeah, still wildly wrong, right? Like, don't get me wrong, he's still wrong here, but hey, I'll give him credit. He is admitting that you are allowed to have things under socialism. A lot of people think it's where you're not allowed to own anything and everything. No, no, no. You're allowed to have personal property.
those things must be owned by either the state or some kind of collective. And while we have ample examples of such a theory failing miserably when put into practice, there are
Right.
still a lot of people that insist it's a really good theory. And maybe that's because there is some comfort in believing that if only the right people were in charge,
Yep.
and that all of us could agree on a particular course of action, then we could focus our collective
No,
efforts
Drizella, you cannot have a personal palace, okay? Within reason, Drizella, within reason. You can have personal property within reason, okay, Drizella?
on making all
Especially
of our
you, Drizella.
lives better.
Especially you.
The problem is, we don't agree. And ultimately, any theory which subordinates your individual ideas, creativity, or goals
I'm sorry, I need to go back. I
all of
got
our lives
distracted
better.
yelling
the
at
problem
Drizella.
is, we don't,
Okay, I'm
and
gonna
that
go back.
all of us could agree on a particular course of
No, no, no. I'm
some
sorry. I
kind of
missed a lot.
collective.
Okay, here we
And
go.
while we have ample examples of such a theory failing miserably when put into practice, there are still a lot of people that insist it's a really good theory. And maybe that's because there is some comfort in believing that if only the right people were in charge, and that all of us could agree on a particular course of action, then we could focus our collective efforts on making all of our lives better. The problem is, we
Wait. Does he think socialism is like a hive mind? Where like you have a society where everyone has to think the same way? Uh, you see what I mean? Like the Borg or like some alien. Like okay. Anyway,
don't agree. And ultimately, any theory which subordinates your individual ideas, creativity, or goals to a collective in the name of the common good is going to run into a couple of serious problems. And that first problem is, who gets to decide the common good? Because you as an
wait a minute, folks. Unfortunately, okay, I'm going to explain this to him. Unfortunately, when you live in a civilization, okay, this is a little anthropology for this gentleman. When you live in a civilization, everyone does have to give up a little bit of some of the things they might do for the sake of the collective. Like, you know, like you can't go to the house next door and, assault someone's wife or like take their property from them or kill someone because you don't like them or, there are things you have to do when living in a community that are about limiting your own behavior for the sake of the whole, okay, for the common good. It is not. It is funny to say that that's a socialism thing. That's just a civilization thing. You gotta kind of control yourself when you're living with other people, right? I'm gonna go back a bit. Forgive me.
is going to run into a couple of serious problems. And that first problem is, who gets to decide the common good? Because you as an individual certainly don't. The collective decides, which is to say
Yeah,
some
SoCal.
sort of simple majority. And if you and your ideas are outvoted or outmaneuvered politically when the time comes to draft the next 5-year plan, well, tough for you. The second problem with the system is that it
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, he doesn't like democracy, then, right? That's literally just what democracy is. It's where like the majority votes. Like if a majority of people want something, you try to go towards. You try to go towards what the majority of people want. Okay, you vote and you do that. And yeah, not everyone in the society may agree, but the best you can do is get the majority of people because people think differently to go in one direction, right? So I'm actually kind of view it as a compliment that he's conflating socialism with democracy because it is more democratic than capitalism, in my opinion. But, but it's funny that he's kind of critiquing democracy by critiquing socialism then, right? Am I going crazy here? Did I mishear that? Anyway,
degrades our humanity and treats people as if we're nothing more than producers or consumers.
oh my God! Oh my God! Is he now? Okay, again though, is he defining capitalism or socialism? By the way, folks, you can Meowsor, you're right. I'm pro female because I'm pro logic. Okay. Uh you give up. Yes, thank you, Ida. Thank you. Is he not describing capitalism where he's saying it degrades our socialism degrades our humanity and treats people as we're nothing more than producers or consumers? I don't know about you, but I believe there's a word for that. That's capitalism, right? Where we become cogs in a machine. Uh right, Mithril? Okay. I'm sure, do you all feel deeply humanized when you're working at a minimum wage job as like a cashier and you can just be fired and someone else hired in your place because you're really only good as a cog in a machine and you're not really treated like a human being? Like, okay. All right.
Under a socialist system, you're no longer an individual. You're simply a cog in the machine that needs to be managed toward a specific goal, which will be determined by someone other than you. And this is why.
What is, okay, again, I'm sorry, I'm calm. What is capitalism, folks? Isn't it where you are part of a cog in a machine that is managed by someone else? And at least in socialism, you're part of that management process, right? You partially get to decide how your existence as a cog, like the direction that the cog that you are is placed in. You see what I mean? Like you decide along with the other cogs what you all together as cogs are going to produce. And what to do with the profits from your cogging. Okay, I know that was kind of a weird. Uh, you're right, Meowser. I guess we could all pretend that that eventually we'll get rich by being entrepreneurs and working hard, right? Okay. You know what? I might do it. I might do this again tomorrow on my day off and then post it in my YouTube channel. This is a good video. I love this. This is great. This is great fun to tear apart.
Alexis de Tocqueville warned that socialism calls in fact for the forfeiture of human liberty to the point where I would say that it was simply a new system of serfdom. Now, there are those who insist that you actually
Tocqueville, who was a pretty big market capitalist anyway.
you don't even need a government
Yeah,
to
scary
implement real
music.
socialism. And so they reference anarcho-socialism, that essentially these
Mithril! Hey! Sorry, Mithril. What is it? It's your birthday, isn't it, Mithril? Happy birthday, Mithril. And happy anarcho-socialism, okay? Because we gotta love Mithril, our favorite anarcho-socialist, or at least anarchist. I don't know if you call yourself an anarcho-socialist, Mithril, but I'll call you an anarcho-socialist, okay? All right.
communes could work through voluntary action. But this has already been tried hundreds of times across the United States, and you can find out how they turned out by clicking right here. I'm Nick Freitas with the Y Minutes.
Okay.
Thank you for watching. Please
Admittedly, America's pretty cool in that there have been a lot of small community socialist experiments. Most of them have failed because of outside pressure, because you need the whole society to essentially be socialist for this to work. They still had to operate within a capitalist system. But a lot of these worked really well for a really long time. When I lived in Boston, there have been multiple utopian socialist communities around there. You could actually go visit some of the places that they built these communities, and they worked pretty well. It was outside influences that ruined it. Got you. Okay. My apologies, Mithril. You're an anarcho-communist. My mistake. Okay. Yes, all the way back to Robert Owen. It's socialism has a long history in the United States. We just don't know about it because all of that was suppressed because of the Cold War. All the socialist heritage and labor heritage of the United States. Okay, so that was a cute video.
like and subscribe so you can get our new
You want to let's watch one
videos
more. I'm sorry,
every
I
Wednesday.
I don't know what this next one's going to be. It says, "Has real
Has
socialism ever
let
been
you
tried?"
down?
Okay. Oh, he shaved in this one. He shaved in this one. Okay. Okay. He shaved. He shaved. All right. We'll see what this is. We'll see what this is. I'm sorry. I'm going to take another bite of pork here. I need some pork for my brain to work. Okay.
Taken your business, put your family in a gulag, or maybe left your country in tatters? Don't worry, because from what I've been told, that probably wasn't real socialism. But do we know if that's true? We know that many people in some nations have tried to create a real socialism.
Wait a minute. So, okay, according to his logic, Oh, totally. Thank you very much, Bob. According to his logic, like a um a concentration camp like a gulag, okay, or a labor camp is a socialist thing. Well, so let's say for the sake of argument, I know there's disagreement on this. Let's say for the sake of argument that the Soviet Union was actually communist or socialist. Okay, I know a lot of people don't agree with that. Regardless. And they set up these gulags. Nazi Germany was capitalist, very capitalist, right? Why aren't concentration camps a capitalist thing and gulags okay, I mean if gulags are a socialist thing, then clearly concentration camps are a capitalist thing. Right? Like it makes no sense. There is no relationship. Socialism it does not have a relationship to concentration camps or labor camps. That is a separate thing. That is a political thing, right? Done by brutal political autocrats, which can exist in any kind of society and have nothing to do with an economic system, right? Okay. Right, Malzord? Okay. Anyway. Also, on a side note here, there is no such thing as a true socialism. The most common kind of socialism is sort of derived from Karl Marx, but there have been tons of different socialisms, tons of different ideas. A lot of them are regional, based off regional beliefs. That about how to form a society after capitalism, or how to form a society different from capitalism. Okay, so to say that there's one true socialism isn't true to begin with. Okay,
society. So the question is, why hasn't it worked? Or why, when it fails, are we told that that wasn't real socialism? Well, to get to the bottom of this, let's try to define our terms. Karl Marx wrote of a socialist society with the anthem of from each according to their ability and to each according to their needs. Sounds great. How do you do it?
totally
Well, to
weird
achieve this,
Marx
Marx demanded the abolition of the private ownership of the means of production. So whether your socialism is democratic, revolutionary, utopian, market,
Right, Ida,
authoritarian,
absolutely.
or some other variant, the common feature among all versions seems to be that the means of production cannot be owned privately like it is in free market economies. So the question is,
Hey, you
if
know
you want to
what?
transition your current society
Hey, you know
into
what?
a
I'm
real
sorry.
socialist
I got again credit where credit's due. He is again not liking him. Forgive me.
the common feature among all versions seems to
Okay,
be
he
that the
showed that
means
there's
of
multiple
production
versions.
cannot be owned privately like it is in free market economies. So the question is, if you want to transition your current society into a real socialist one, how would you go about doing that? Well, presumably, not everyone is going to be keen to hand over their property for this experiment, so you will require a legal apparatus to confiscate and redistribute property. And we typically rely on the government to do this since that's the institution that can use aggressive force legally. Now, proponents of real socialism may
Technically, there are other ways to do this. You could do an inheritance thing where if you want to do a slow process, and I'm not advocating for any of these ways. I'm just saying there are other ways other than violent confiscation. You could do it that where like when one generation passes away, they can their children can no longer inherit all the property they have. So eventually, after someone basically dies, the property they own will be distributed amongst small stakeholders, or over time you can tax it out of inheritors. It doesn't have to be violent, like a violent seizure of property, like he's implying. Okay.
argue that once you have a sufficiently socialist and egalitarian society, this sort of government action will no longer be required, or at least it'll be significantly limited. Problem is, that never seems to happen. Because it turns out the government power that was required to do all the confiscating and redistributing is now required to maintain the socialist order, politically, socially, and economically. And the only way it can do this is through the application of force. In a socialist-run economy, trains still need to run on time.
Right, Mithril.
Factories still need to produce consumer goods, and the farms still need to provide food. And when someone doesn't pull their weight, there must be punishment. And so the powerful government...
Okay, again, messing up there, that is one form of socialism where you have the state control it, the state in theory run by the people, controlling production, deciding what's produced when it's produced. You could also have a market socialist society where you literally have sort of a free market, and then enterprises are just owned by the workers. You have co-ops. So like instead of Walmart being owned by a private person, it would be owned by its employees. They would vote and things like that to make company decisions, and they would collectively decide what to do with the profits within a free market system. My point is like you don't have to like socialism does not necessarily mean centralized control of production. It can. That is one form. Okay.
does it go away. In fact, in many cases, it becomes even more powerful. Now, interestingly enough, there are examples of peaceful attempts at socialism. Right here in the good old capitalist United States of America, many people have attempted to set up communes that ran off the principles of socialism and communal property. Now, because of property rights in the United States, you can establish a commune, you can run a commune, you can join a commune, you just can't force other people to join with you. And over 30 of such communes were founded on the ideas of utopian socialist Charles Fourier. Most of them only lasted a few years, not because the US government came in and cracked them down for being socialist.
Oh, you're absolutely right, weird amorphous blob. I hope you know I'm oversimplifying here, but
they failed because people chose to leave. So what's so interesting is that in practice, socialists are generally free to set up socialist-style communes in free countries, but capitalists will be violently oppressed in socialist countries. So perhaps...
Wait a minute. Okay, so guys, did you know that there was never any violent oppression of socialists in this country, in the United States or anywhere? Socialists have never been violently oppressed by capitalists because they lived in free societies, right? Free societies where the government would never dare crack down on the socialists, right? They could do it freely. Only in socialist countries are capitalists cracked down on, not the other way around. Right? No history of violence in the United States against socialists. None, right? Yeah, Fred Hampton, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, right. None, exactly, right, guys? Yeah, yep, yeah. Zoran Andami getting threatened. The F, right? Henry Ford would beg to differ, right? Resident Union Thug, you would know about all the violence done to unions and stuff. The miners' strike, right? Or can we even think about like how many regimes have been overthrown by the United States just killing people because there might be a slight lefty in power somewhere? Okay, love that for us.
The reason why we don't see any countries successfully implementing that real socialism we keep hearing about is not because it hasn't been tried, but because its over-reliance on violence and coercion produces not only poor economic results, but socially unbearable ones. How socially unbearable? We can watch this video here where you'll learn the story.
So guys, for those of you in chat that are in the Nordic countries, which are still capitalist societies, but are heavily regulated capitalist societies with some socialist elements sort of mixed into them, is it unbearable to live there? Do you feel it's absolutely unbearable economically to live in those countries? And again, I know they're not full on socialists, but they're much closer to socialism than we are. Do you, Drusilla, for example, is it unbearable economically to live in those countries? Utterly unbearable. What about compared to the United States? I'm sure, according to his logic, I'm sure you would be suffering a lot less if you lived in the United States economically. Economically, you'd be suffering a lot less, right, guys? Right. Anyway, according to this guy, yeah, I know Matt's like, yeah, good read. Okay. Oh, I'm sure you are, Drusilla. I'm sure all you Norwegians out there are just on the brink of fleeing to the United States, aren't you? Because of all those horrible things you have, like universal health care, and collective bargaining within your corporate entities between the labor and ownership. Anyway, okay, whatever, right? We don't need to worry about that. Weird amorphous blob. Capitalism never results in unbearable conditions. Just ignore 75% of the world. Right. And that's the other thing too, folks. Yeah, there are capitalists. That's a good point, weird amorphous blob. It reminds me of something else. Capitalist countries, right, which a lot of people do have pretty good lives in capitalist countries. I'm not going to lie to you there. But you understand that they have good lives in those countries because of the major suffering of people paid low wages in other countries, right? Right, Resident Union Thug. So, like, anyway, okay. Well, this is I'm gonna save this channel. Maybe I'll do some like reactions to this stuff and I'll put them on YouTube. This is good stuff. This is good propaganda. Right, Drusilla, the doctors are running after us to give us health care. It's unbearable. I know. Oh my God, Drusilla, that sounds so oppressive. It's so oppressive to have good health care. It's a great. I know. I'm so sorry, Drusilla. You need more freedom, Drusilla. You need American freedom over there. You need some freedom. Okay. All right. Trump failed. A guy who fought for a capitalist society and killed people for it, talking about socialism being too violent. Oh my God, Trump failed. I didn't even notice that. You're right. He fought for the Green Berets in Iraq and stuff. Yeah, forced free healthcare. Ooh, scary, right, Lane? Okay. Um, yeah, we are lucky, but had SD. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely, Ida. Okay. All right. I'm so sorry for your suffering over there in Norway, Ida. You know, the unbearable conditions you have to live through. Okay. All right, guys. So thank you for watching that with me. Um, uh, right, Drusilla. Okay. Okay. Here we got another thing here. I thought we could talk about. Uh, all right. Someone sent this to me. Oh my god, I keep forgetting to do that, Matt Saiga. Meritocracy is super interesting. Definitely a load of BS, Matt Saiga, as I'm sure you know. I'll definitely talk about meritocracy sometime, okay? So this was sent to me on okay, I'll do this one first. Okay. Right, okay. This was sent to me on oh no, I think I stole it. I saw it somewhere on Discord. I need to get better. I'm trying to stop saying so much, right? This is like something I'm working on. Okay. I saw this. I thought it was interesting. I haven't watched it yet. Let's watch it. It says former IDF lawyer arrested over leaked video allegedly showing Palestinian prisoner abuse. Now, I have heard about this woman. She leaked that there was a bunch of abuse going on of Palestinian prisoners. Uh, um, and she's now being harassed by Israelis who are mad that she leaked this factual information about the abuse of Palestinian prisoners. And apparently now she's been, how dare you, SoCal? How dare you? I'm trying so hard, SoCal. Apparently now she's being arrested by the Israeli government. Okay. How dare you, SoCal? Okay. So let's watch this. Damn it. I'll get used. I'll try not to do it. All right, here we go.
Outside the home of the woman at the centre of an Israeli national scandal, protesters shout traitor and shame. Less than a week ago, Yifat Tomer Yerushalmi was the Israeli military's top lawyer, but now she's lost both her IDF career and liberty after admitting she was the one behind a leak of footage from inside a controversial detention centre. The former military advocate general sparked a manhunt on Sunday after going missing following her resignation. She claims not to remember portions of time from her disappearance, and police can't locate her phone for evidence.
That's terrifying.
She's now been remanded in custody, accused of fraud and breach of trust, abuse of official power, obstruction of justice, and disclosure of information by a public official. The footage at the centre of the fallout at the top of the idea.
Of course, Israel would have a law that literally is disclosing information as a public official, because you got to crack down on any kind of information getting out there, right? And fraud, yeah, what's that about, Weird Amorphous Blob? Fraud? What, did she accidentally get one person's name wrong or something in the leak? Or I don't like, okay.
DF appears to show soldiers taking a Palestinian detainee aside at Sedetman Detention Centre in July last year and using their riot gear to hide them allegedly sexually abusing the man. The former chief military prosecutor said she leaked the video to counter false propaganda against the army's law enforcement authorities. The soldiers allegedly involved were arrested by Tomer Yerushalmi's department, sparking protests outside the detention centre. Some of those in the crowd were MPs from the ruling coalition.
You have to understand the terrorists who raped, slaughtered and abused our people found a new method of whining like rats that some soldier touched them.
Oh my God, guys. You know, we haven't talked much about Israel recently because of the quote-unquote ceasefire. So we haven't had the opportunity to hear some of this pretty horrific rhetoric for a while. It's still rather shocking, isn't it? Matt Saigai, oh, you're not wrong, Matt Saigai. It does sound like Sarvikar, right? The use of the word rat. They're rats, and now she's saying that these Palestinian detainees are like just whining after claiming that these Palestinian detainees have assaulted Jewish women, etc. Okay. These really are some of the most disgusting people that say these things. I can't. Okay, it's unbearable. All right.
Just yesterday, the 5 soldiers who have been indicted for the assault held a press conference, bolstered by support from Prime Minister Netanyahu himself. They claim the leaked video means they won't get a fair trial.
Look at these cowards, too. They're hiding their faces. If you didn't do anything, why are you hiding your face?
We are fighters who need the backing of the government, the backing of the system. But instead of a hug, we got accusations. Instead of thanks, we got silence. We will continue to fight for justice for ourselves, for our friends, for our families, for everyone who came out in uniform and defended our home. We will win.
You know, Drizil, that's very possible. I would need to look into that. That is possible. Alas, still brave, even if she didn't have the best intentions, right?
Long-standing target of Israel's right wing, Tomer Yerushalmi's rapid fall has quickly emerged as a national scandal, overshadowing the video at the centre of the case. But it's not the first time accusations of this kind have been made. Over the last year, Channel 4 News has spoken to several detainees from Sudetenland who allege they too were physically assaulted and sexually abused by IDF soldiers.
There's tons of videos out there, folks. I don't watch. Like I've heard that they exist. I've only ever seen one because I was watching a video with you guys, but I've heard there's more.
When you are bent over, they target your ass with a baton from behind. Both the women and the men. Everything is focused there. The baton, with its thickness and made of iron, when it's extended and inserted inside.
Okay, I don't know if I can show this on YouTube. Maybe I can. You know what? Okay.
It feels like your brain is exploding.
Bodies of Palestinian detainees returned from Israel to Gaza as part
Jesus
of the
Christ.
recent peace deal also allegedly show signs of abuse, with some bearing marks of torture and execution. The release of the CCTV from this alleged incident has fueled an intense political backlash, laying bare the cracks in Israel between politicians and the judicial system, with the leak now seemingly a bigger priority to the government than the alleged crime itself.
I'm joined now by Yossi.
Guys, oh my God! Like, what was it that I wish Alan was here? Alan, but like what's his name? Shit, what's his name? He's a pro-Palestine activist. Norm Finkelstein had previously said that Israel had become a lunatic society, like they completely lost its way. This is like a sign of that, is it not? That there's much more outrage about the leak of the info than the actual info, right? That crazy. That like blows my mind. I mean, it doesn't really. I'm not that surprised, but okay.
Who's a senior consulting fellow at Chatham House. What were her motivations, do you think, for releasing the footage? Obviously, there's now questions over fairness in trial and everything.
No doubt, and she admitted in a letter.
Ida, I disagree with that. I don't believe Hamas is worse. Andy, let's say they were worse, Ida. I suspect it doesn't matter because this stuff is still horrific, right? They're not worse, in my opinion, at all, but that doesn't excuse what the Israelis are doing either.
And resigned. There was a lack of judgment there. But I think one also need to understand the immense pressure she was under. Here comes, a complaint about a Palestinian detainee that was allegedly abused by a number of reservist soldiers that, in this case, work as some sort of prisoner guards. The detainee was so badly harmed that he has to be hospitalized. Come then to light a video, a recording from the CCTV that at least on the face of it proves, what was alleged. She charged them. The immediate response of this is dozens of people. It's descent on the detention center that was built immediately after October 7, including members of the coalition break into this, attack the investigators, and from then on, it's out the attacks, the violence, or at least the verbal abuse against the chief prosecutors, the advocate general, Tomer Yerushalmi, was unprecedented, including accusing her of bloodline.
Ida, let's talk about this at some point, okay? I deeply disagree with you, Ida. But we, yeah. Yeah, so Ida, yes, I understand that. But let's talk about it sometime. Maybe not this time around, but we'll talk about it. Okay. All right.
Bible, which anyone that knows Jewish history know how serious it is, and she tried to defend herself by releasing this clip.
Given the pressure she was under, do you think there was another option?
I mean, there's always another choice not to do that. Maybe sometimes to resign and come completely clean with the media, complain about it, go to the Supreme Court. I think there are sometimes other options. But again, this is not taking away from the severe pressure that she was under as all the legal system, the Supreme Court, the entire judicial system, the Attorney General, the government, they're under constant attack during the current government. And the background of all of it is they try to dismantle the legal system, the judiciary as we know it in Israel, in order to derail Netanyahu's corruption trial. This is a kind of the fundamental issue here. And for this, they are ready to ruin the foundations of Israel's democratic system and harm also the gatekeepers.
Do you think the treatment of her threatens to worsen what Prime Minister Netanyahu has called the worst PR crisis for Israel?
It shows what he's saying.
I'm sorry. So some things here, folks. Well, you know what? I do kind of want to finish this first before I make a comment here.
The completely moral bankruptcy of Netanyahu.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the release of the clip that undermines Israel. It's what is alleged to happen there is the problem. Yeah. And not only there are other cases that are not investigated.
Right, jolly boy.
You know, whether the killing of journalists, killing of medical personnel. There are so many other cases that are not investigated. That's what compromises Israel's morality.
Obviously.
Yeah, see, that's gross to me. All right, so what do we... I just kind of mainly wanted to see the opening part, but hearing that guy was interesting. That's an interesting way of framing it, that the problem here is a PR issue, right? That's how he's framing it. The purposeful genociding of people, right, is not really a PR issue. The issue is genociding people and killing people. The whole world agrees. Okay, guys, you know this. Why I don't want to have to go into this again. I'm not saying about all of you, by the way, but we all know this. You know what? It's funny. Who was it that just said that you're having you're having flashbacks? I'm almost like don't want to get into this because I feel like maybe I'm being selfish, but we just stopped this shit recently because of the ceasefire. And it's like, okay, I like don't want to have to get into this argument. Yeah. Israel's committing a genocide. They purposely killed thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. We haven't, Matt. We have not. But I'm just saying, like, okay, I know. As I was saying, this is not. I know, Matt. So it hasn't really stopped, right? But the ceasefire became like it gave me at least the illusion that at least something was happening. It was a way of I don't know. Maybe I'm just using it as a coping mechanism. But I I just can't handle, like, okay. The Hamas being bad is not an excuse for the mass murder of many people. This is not for like the mass slaughter of children and women and things like that. The idea that Hamas is using human shields is hilarious. Because first of all, Gaza is the most densely populated place in the world. It doesn't matter where you drop a bomb, you're going to be killing a bunch of people because there's people everywhere. So even if, let's say Hamas was using human shields, it really wouldn't matter because it would still be killing innocent people. Israel knows that. They continue to drop the bombs and continue to kill a bunch of innocent people. By the way, Gaza is 50% children. So every time you drop a bomb, you know you're killing probably half of those people you're killing are children. Right, babies swear allegiance to Hamas. I like Hamas is hiding the idea that, Hamas is hiding tunnels under hospitals and stuff. Well, that's funny. Let's say it's true. Okay, again, folks, I am not saying that these things are true. I'm simply saying I'm playing the devil's advocate here. Let's say that is true. Israel knows that, and they're still dropping bombs on the hospitals to get to those tunnels. As in, oh, it is worth it to destroy that hospital, to kill all those innocent people, to get to that possible tunnel that's underneath the hospital. And then blaming Hamas for their decision to murder all the people that are on top of the tunnel, right? If that is true, which I don't necessarily think it is. Okay. I don't really want to. Okay, I don't want to get into it. All right. So this lady is crazy. I mean, the lady that did that, reported that, is very brave. Okay. Anyway, so that's the story. Another loony story from Israel about the mass insanity that's going on in that society. The calls for genocide, the calls for ethnic cleansing, the outright genocide and ethnic cleansing. Hello, John Gray. Hello, John Gray. It's possible, John Gray. Yeah. Guys, you can see I'm getting worked up here. I'm trying not to. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not a fan of slaughtering women and children. I don't care the excuse for it. No, I don't care. All right, guys. So that is something else that's happened. Is that woman, was accused of that, and now is being targeted. Oh, Meowzord, God, don't even remind me. Yeah, and the making comments like that. Was it Cenk Uygur, for example? Cenk Uygur was on, what was that show? That with the right wing host, Trapp, the English guy. Damn, well, whatever the case was, he was on a right wing show, and there was Piers Morgan. Thank you. And there was a guy on there who basically said, "Hey, I hope they should give you a pager or something like that." Like, Ida, let me see, Ida. But the point was, yeah, okay, Ida, that's fair. So, Ida, we can disagree on this, folks. And folks, I know we all have strong feelings about what's the genocide. But let me. So, Ida, okay. Yeah, Ida, I acknowledge that, right? Hamas, they do. They've done terrorist acts, right? They have done terrorist acts. They've been partially supported by Iran, yeah. And it's important to say what they do. Now, Ida, I'm a historian, Ida. Now, work with me here, Ida, okay? I think I've told this story to people here before, right? There was, America had chattel slavery, where we enslaved hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Africans and used them as slave labor. And at one point in American history, there was a massive uprising of American slaves that resulted in a bunch. The black slaves rose up. They went from plantation to plantation, killing white slave owners, sometimes their children and sometimes their wives. Don't you dare, SoCal. I know what you're referring to, okay? And yeah, that's a tragedy, right? The death of women and children and such is a tragedy. But wouldn't you say, though, Ida, it's kind of weird to look at those slaves and then tell them that Well, you guys are bad. You guys are just as bad as the slave owners that resulted in you doing an uprising. Because it makes sense to me why people who have been abused for years upon years upon years would get angry enough to do a violent rebellion, even if it ends up killing people like women and children. And Hamas is an organization that represents a group of people that have been put in a giant open air prison. Okay. They've been put in a giant open air prison. They've had their land stolen from them. They've been starved. They've had their electricity controlled. Israel has engaged, and this is a quote, you can look it up, in what they call mowing the lawn, where if they feel that there's too much peace going on in Gaza, they will literally start lobbing bombs in there to kind of keep the Palestinians at bay. And what this does, Ida, is it religiously radicalizes people. It radicalizes people to resist Israel. Okay, Ida. So, but do you see what I mean, though, Ida? Like, it weirds me out. And by the way, I'm gay, Ida. Like, I'm not a fan of how Hamas treats gay people. But I do not blame them for engaging in violent resistance and even accepting support from Iran, right? Because if I was in that situation and my family was being killed by bombs and my land was being taken from me, I would possibly do the same thing. Anyway, but you're right though, Ida. Yeah, Hamas not good. Okay, I will say that. Okay. I mean, or Hamas at least. I'm not my favorite organization. All right. Let me see here what that clip is. Okay. J-Mac, how dare you? Okay. All right. But thank you, Ida. Actually, Ida, I will say I do appreciate actually being able to talk with you about this because yeah, thank you. Ida, yeah, Mauser, you're right. Ida, you have to understand the people here in chat who have been with me, here in a while. Yes, the Known Dark Senate, I do play D&D, love D&D. The people that have been here with me in chat for a while know that a lot of times folks, Ida, who disagree with us on this are very rude about it and come in here and say all sorts of horrific things about Muslims and things like that. So, Ida, I deeply appreciate you actually having a rational conversation with me about this. Seriously. Thank you, Ida. Okay. All right. So I do play D&D there, the Dark Senate. Okay. Okay, so the clip you mentioned here, yeah, that's fair, Ida. Yes, I see. But still, you think they're worse, Ida. See, that's where I disagree with you, Ida. I don't think they're worse. I was a DM. Yes, I was a DM, the Known Dark Senate. But we do appreciate how polite you're being, Ida. Okay. All right. I'm going to someone sent me a clip. Thank you, Drizella. Is this the clip? I am curious.
If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing.
You're called an anti-Semite.
Oh yes, I remember this.
Yeah.
And people.
Do we remember this, folks? Where this guy got kicked off CNN because he told Mehdi Hassan? Okay, well, I'll just let you watch it if you haven't seen it.
If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing.
You're called an anti-Semite.
How dare you? Okay. The Known Dark Senate. How did you know I was a D&D dungeon master? Okay, because you said the eccentric vibes hinted at that. Thank you, the Known Dark Senate. Thank you. That's fair. That's fair. But how did you know that I was even liked D&D, the Known Dark Senate? How did you even know? By the way, love your name, Known Dark Senate.
You've been called an anti-Semite more than anyone else's table.
Yeah.
And people will sit there and no, by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. I'm used to it.
Yeah, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is that
Jesus Christ!
You should not.
No,
Did you just say I should be killed?
No, I did not say that. No, I did not say that.
Hold on.
Did your guest just say I should be killed on live TV?
I said I hope
Guys,
you're.
let me just stop.
You said you hope my beeper doesn't go off.
Because you said I'm a big supporter
of the Palestinians.
Of Hamas.
Guys.
Oh, absolutely, Known Dark Senate. Okay.
MAGA pundit.
That was great. Okay. Isn't that horrific? Just casually saying to Mehdi Hassan, I hope your beeper goes off. Now, luckily, CNN, a very good job in the Known Dark Senate. You're correct, okay? Very disgusting thing to say. Just because Mehdi Hassan is Muslim, and okay, suggesting he should be killed by a beeper explosion. Anyway, okay. So that's fun, right? That's fun, good stuff. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. By the way, for the folks that are in chat here, apparently Meowzord, apparently Buchenwald is just a joke. I think so, SoCal. So folks, I'm going to quickly, by the way, for those that are in chat right now, I haven't done this yet. Please join our Discord if you haven't already. We have a great community on there. Ida, I would love for Ida also to join our Discord, because I'm sure we would love to talk with her about her perspective on this. I'm going to copy paste this. I'm going to put this in. So here is our Discord. Please join it. We have a large growing community on there. You can also suggest things for me to react to. And again, we don't have to agree on everything, folks. That's part of what the Discord is for. And for this community, we can all talk about different ideas and stuff. Ida. Oh, no. Okay, Ida. So, Ida, let me see what Ida has to say. Let me put it this way. They have been forced to become almost as radical as they are, and their religion is completely taking off. Only religion wanting to wipe out. So forgive me, Ida. I'm not clear what you're saying. Are you saying that their Islam, the radicalized notion of Islam is the bad thing about it? You're talking about Hamas? Yeah, so Hamas are radical Muslims. They are radical Muslims. But I will say this, Ida. I'm not sure what you're saying, Ida, but you know that Netanyahu's government in Israel is like a far right-wing radical Jewish government, right? Yeah. Okay, if I'm not sure what you're referring to. Forgive me, Ida. Unless you are, because Hamas is radical. But anyway, okay. So folks, I did post, but Ida, I would actually love to talk about this more with you. I like hearing different people's perspectives. Oh, that is true, Drusilla. He did say that. Okay. Okay. So anyway, please join our Discord. If you haven't already, I'd love to. We're mainly because we have 147 community members in there, and I would love to see what happens if I want us to get to 150. Okay, because I'm OCD. Yeah, and I shouldn't say that. Okay, yeah. Yeah, you're right. And I shouldn't say it's not Judaism is not the problem here, but the radical right-wing government of Israel, which is a radical interpretation of Judaism, is sort of using their religion as a cudgel to get what they want done politically and economically, even though it's not a Jewish problem, if you know what I mean. Same thing with Hamas. They're using a radical fundamentalist interpretation of Islam to back up their political, economic, and stuff ideologies. Not an issue with Islam. Okay. All right, guys. Don't you dare, J-Mac. Okay. All right. But really, great. Love it, though, Ida. Really. Great conversation. Okay, guys. So it is currently, what time is it? It is, okay. I'm going to go now, folks. I believe enough time has gone by here, and I'm getting hungry, even though I just had a bunch of pork because I'm a fatty. What I'm going to do here is this, all right? I'm going to say bye-bye. We did not reach enough to do a Jester After Dark stream. What that means is that I will not be streaming tomorrow because that's my normal day off to make videos, and then I will be back on Thursday, all right? J-Mac, how dare you, J-Mac? By the way, J-Mac, I didn't even see you enter chat, J-Mac. Why didn't you cause a problem? Why didn't you cause a scene like you normally do? Did I just miss it, J-Mac? Did I just miss the scene you caused? Okay. Oh, did you? Damn it, I missed it, J-Mac. Okay. Okay. I missed it. Damn it. Okay. Drusilla, don't look at me that way, Drusilla. Okay. I believe I've been on for about 2.5 hours or so. Oh, you did? Well, there we go. Okay. Shadow ban. All right. All right, folks. So I'm going to put my face back up here. Thank you, everyone who did contribute. Thank you, Ida, for doing a membership. And thank you for the folks who contributed in the beginning. If you like the content, if you're over on Twitch, please follow me or subscribe. If you subscribe, you can use Amazon Prime to subscribe to me for free. That'd be lovely. Or you could subscribe regularly. If you do subscribe on Twitch, you'll be able to watch me without ads, which would be lovely for you. If you're over on YouTube, please, you can become a member for as little as 99 cents a month by hitting that join button. Also located, pinned at the top of the YouTube chat are a bunch of things, such as a buy me a coffee if you want to send me money that way. Our Discord, which I highly recommend everyone join because we have a lovely community on there. I can promise you that. I mean, there are a few people I'd rather not be in there, like, I don't know, JMac, for example, but other than that, it's fine. Just kidding. Love you, JMac. Okay. Yeah. And if you're over on YouTube, you can also, I got you, Ida. Okay. Thank you, Ida. I totally get you. Okay. Ida, and I hope you know I really do appreciate you. Okay. I love chatting with you and such. Okay. Yeah, all right. Okay, every time you say something like that, I cry myself to sleep at night. JMac, do you have any idea how much joy your tears bring me? Like, oh my God, please send me a vial of them. I would love to wear them around my neck to remind myself. I can look at it every time and be like, oh, that's amazing. And now what? I'm sorry, now what? Exactly. Oh, that's true, JMac. Okay. So by the way, so yes, if you are on YouTube, you can also go over to Twitch, which I also have linked. And we can you can join me, you can follow me there. Yeah, Quiz Friday, I know, 100%. And there you go. How dare you? Okay, so anyway. I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted because the chat's going crazy right now. That's why I keep pausing. Like, what the hell is going? That's his main kink. He does some weird stuff with fascist tears. JMac, no one's supposed to know that. No one. Don't be telling that on stream. Anyway. All right. Okay, guys. So I'm gonna go now. Thank you everyone for staying around. Okay. I know you're taking advantage of my taking advantage of my tears. All right, guys. So here we go. First of all, you all know what I'm about to say. Number one, free Palestine. Okay, free Palestine. No one deserves to be slaughtered en masse. They're human beings. We don't like human beings dying. Free Palestine. Second of all, never stop resisting. The easiest way to resist is to think for yourselves. The easiest way to resist is to think for yourselves, and that includes when you watch me. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. Don't get caught in an information silo. See what other people are thinking, okay? See what other people are thinking, okay? Because the easiest way to resist is to think for yourselves. Thirdly, we are living in a fascist moment in this country. Not only in this country, but over in India, okay? Where the Hindu nationalists have taken over, okay? Having some issues over in the UK, too, elsewhere, okay? Fascism thrives in an environment where people have lost faith in their democratic institutions, so they turn to more radical ends of the political spectrum, okay? In order to fix this, or to at least slow it down, we need major reforms in this country. We need major reforms. You cannot stand in the center. If you stand in the center, the fascists will walk all over you, okay? Don't be a slug. Don't let the fascists walk all over you. Resist, okay? On the wall behind me is a sword. The name of that sword is Chainbreaker. Chainbreaker is thought to have been responsible for the death of 7 slave owners. Why do we have it back there? I have it back there to remind everyone. That our ancestors made some major sacrifices for some of the things we have today, including sometimes putting their lives on the line to achieve some of the freedoms we have today. Okay, Ida, ignore my chat. They're all lunatics. Don't believe them. Don't believe them. Okay. Some of the things that we have today. Okay. Please don't let their sacrifice go to waste. Please, 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 do not let their sacrifice go to waste. And always, 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 always fight for a better future. And on that note, folks, I love you all very much. You have a good rest of your day. Have a good Wednesday. I won't see you tomorrow. Keep fighting. Don't give up hope. don't forget that there's children and people who can't fight that we also have to fight for. We don't have the luxury of not fighting, okay, of not resisting.